Aviation Construction is Geno Jaramillo, or as for best friends now, we just call him Geno. Geno is a former adjunct professor at Florida International University in the Construction Management Department and at the Miami-Dade College in the Continuing Education Department. He's also a former yoga teacher at LA Fitness and other yoga studios in South Miami-Dade County. In 2017, after giving over 40 speeches and serving as president of the South Dade Club for 1 year and Area 52 director for another, in just 39 months, he earned the highest level of educational achievement in Toastmasters International, DTM, stands for Distinguished Toastmaster. Geno earned his bachelor's in electrical engineering at the University of South Florida and his master's in business administration from the University of Miami. He is a certified member of the Southeast chapter of the American Association of Airport Executives, as well as a member of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, South Florida Professional Chapter. Please welcome Geno.
Thank you, Matthew. Tough crowd. Lunch. Long morning. So I'm here to keep you awake. What we're going to do is inhale the arms up. Follow me, come on. Clasp your fingers together. Exhale. Inhale the arms up. Lean to your right. To your right, your other right. And then inhale up. Exhale to the right. Inhale up and go back as far as you can. And then exhale it down. And don't you just feel better with your breath? Sherry? Absolutely. You ready?
I don't think we've ever done that before, Geno.
Good. There's room for a first. Just the slide before, I think. There you go.
Just thought you might want to know, sales aren't up, they're down.
Okay. Gotta dance. As Matthew mentioned, I'm here to talk to you about the aviation construction industry. I've been at it for 20 years in Miami and in Fort Lauderdale and in Dallas, Love Field. The past, present, and future. It's important to look at the past so you know where you've been. And we had a glorious past. There's 15,000, more than 15,000 airports in just the USA. But of those 15,000, only 5,200 have a paved runway. To put it in perspective, there's 44,000 malls, but only 1,100 of them are covered. So there's more airports than there are malls. So Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, claimed that our airports were obsolete, and he promised to throw a lot of money at it. As a matter of fact, not a single U.S. airport ranked in the top 25 in the world. And over the past 40 to 50 years, they've aged. That's true. Many of you have been through some of our airports. A lot of you traveled. You know that they're aging infrastructure. And in the last 50 years, our spending has shrunk by over 50%. While in Europe, they've doubled it. They're spending twice as much as we are. That's why you have those fantastic airports in Europe and Asia. Now, this is a ranking by J.D. Power of the airports here in the United States. And of those 18 that are listed there, pretty cool that Orlando's number 1, which is right down the street here. And I'll talk more about Orlando in a minute because I'm very bullish about Orlando International and the Central Florida area. 10 of them are average. Would you be proud of that you're an average airport? Now, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers, these are the top 5 airports that need construction work. They have a $4 billion program underway. Skanska and Walsh have joint ventured to do a $3.6 billion expansion at LaGuardia. Plenty of opportunity there. And then Newark Liberty was named the worst for travel, but they've got a $1 billion program coming up. You have Chicago O'Hare, one of the busiest hubs in the United States. They face a lot of challenges, but they're about to head to about a $4 billion program. John F. Kennedy, customs wait times average 55 minutes. How many get frustrated when you're in customs lines? Don't you hate that? I hate that too. They're getting better at it with technology, self-service devices. In Philadelphia, things are just going to get worse. When all these others go under construction, it's going to put pressure on Philadelphia. Now here's some of the top market pressures. You have the Federal Aviation Administration. They're the 800-pound gorilla. They're the ones that set the tone, but they do provide funding. That's a good thing. The TSA, they're all about security and safety. And so is the Customs Border Protection. They're big in the news now with Mr. Trump announcing that the National Guard is headed down to the Mexico-United States border to give them a hand. The other pressures are new design guidelines to incorporate technology, especially geospatial technology. And then the fleet mix is changing. You're getting these huge aircraft now from Boeing, the 787 up top, and down here is the A350 from Airbus. So the gates configuration will change, and there's more pressure on airports to increase their volume. There's increased demand for passengers. How many like to travel? Raise your hand. I don't see too many millennials in the room. They're the ones that love to travel. And baby boomers, we're picking up on it, right? We're retiring now. Turn 70, you got to pull all your money out of your 401k. What are you going to do with it? Travel. So here's the demand. It's going up. You can see it by 2037. Demand is way up. As a matter of fact, anybody want to guess how many enplanements, which that's the ticket, it's not unique passengers, but how many enplanements in 2017? Anybody want to throw a number out? Go ahead, there's no right or wrong answer. Would the number 4 billion impress you? 4 billion different tickets were let out. Now, what's going to happen is by 2030, that number is going to grow to 7.3 billion. That's as many people as there are on the planet today. Here's another key trend in cargo. How many of you like Amazon Prime? Everybody uses Amazon Prime, right? You click a button, you get it the next day. You push your microwave, you get the food in a minute and a half. Everybody likes speed. So there's an increase in e-commerce sales that will boost the air cargo market. There's also a demand for temperature-sensitive products, such as medicines and certain foods. And there's a growing demand from the Asia-Pacific market. You heard about all these trade wars with China and all that. That's BS. We're going to continue to trade with China. They're going to continue to trade with us. And the forecast is that the market for cargo is going to reach 85.39 million tons in just 3 short years. Now, I'm very proud to announce this project here. This was the first one out of the box in Miami. I was part of this for the past 17 years. It was a $6.5 billion expansion and renovation project. Can you wrap your head around that? $6.5 billion. And this is about the size of the projects that are going to happen now all over the United States in the major hubs. So what did we do here with all that money? Well, we got a new traffic control tower. We got a new runway. We got a new south terminal. This is the terminal here. I call it the flattened Coke can. It's supposed to look like a wing, but to me it looks like a Coke can that got flattened. And then you have all the kiosks or shelters for the buses for the cruise. Because Miami is the #1 cruise capital of the world. So they get to the south terminal, they arrive international, and they come here and get their bus. We also restored the chiller plant, the primary loop, We did some work on the parking garages and on the hotel lobby as well. The North Terminal. It's a 1.9 mile long terminal. Brand new baggage system. And it was expanded and renovated. I was very mad about this art in public places. They spent $750 million on that when they owed us money. So I was mad. But it came out very nice. So it was an expansion or renovation. This thing here, we called it the hat truss. So we actually assembled it there at the site and put it up like a pie. Little pieces of the pie, and then the top of the hat was completely assembled on the ground with the fire sprinklers in it and all the infrastructure. There's a new automated people mover. It has 4 stations. When you have a terminal that's 1.9 miles long, people are not going to walk that, even though you have power walks. So you have 4 stations. It's automatic, it's on wheels, and we did the guideway, which is all concrete. These girders are about 80 cubic yards of concrete each. There's isolation pads underneath to minimize the vibration down into the building. And then this, I'm very proud of because it's the entrance to MIA. This is what's called Ground Transportation Improvements, the Central Collection Toll Plaza. Tolls, parking tolls, are a big deal for airports. They represent the number 2 revenue after tickets. And what was happening here is they had arms all over the place. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day. And what the sky caps, the guys that get your luggage, what they would do is they'd make the arm go up and get a ticket, and they'd put them all in a hat. And so whoever came later would turn in their earlier ticket to get a later ticket, thus reducing your parking fees. And so parking revenues were way down. Now we have this Central Collection Toll Plaza. There's limited ways to get in, but only one way to get out. It's got a fancy camera system that takes a picture of your license plate, and if your license plate, it puts it on the ticket. So when you go out, your ticket has the license plate information on it. So there's no way to cheat the system or to steal a car if you don't have a ticket. Plus, it runs your tag through the DMV. So this is a warning for anybody that has something shady going on. It takes your tag and sends it to the DMV, and the DMV looks to see if it's been stolen or there's some kind of issue with it or a warrant, and the police station is right there. So they're going to send the cops right away. And you know we're all about security these days. We also did what's known as a Federal Inspection Service. This is where your Customs and Immigration is. And right here, this is 72 counters. It was 2 football fields long. The problem was that there was no funding for the CBP agents. So they don't open up enough. Now, if I were to take this picture today, this area here is completely full of self-service devices. You come in, you scan your passport, it takes your picture, you get a little card after you answer all the questions. You know, did you bring drugs? Did you bring food? Did you bring a lot of money? So if you get an X, you go to one line. If you don't get the X, you go to another line. Then from the curbside to the ticket counters, we rehabilitated from what used to be A, B, C, D, now it's all D. That's a 60-gate terminal, brand new, renovated, very proud of this project. It was directly with Miami-Dade Aviation Department. It's a $155 million project, no issues. Great safety, fantastic quality, no callbacks, no claims, and very profitable. Airport work is extremely profitable. Now we've been there for many, many years. We landed a project called Miscellaneous Construction Contract. And this is something that we act as the agent for Miami International. And really it's a management of the minority firms. How many of you are registered as a minority? Or as a disadvantaged business enterprise? If you're not, and you can, do it. Huge advantage, especially at the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. You want to be registered to these agencies. So we've been all around the horseshoe. The stars represent separate projects. The red is that North Terminal improvements I told you about, and then we were all along this whole 1.9 mile stretch of concourse. So that was the past. And Mr. Trump, whether you like him or not, was right. Our airports were obsolete. But they're coming up now. And in 2016, these are projects that are underway. So you got New Orleans with an $807 million contract, and it's ongoing. Matter of fact, they're almost done. Then over in Tampa, they already finished this $971 million, and they've got another $500 million letting out right now. And there's another 500 after that. Now the Orlando International, it's called MCO, the call letters, they have a huge APM complex. So right here is where the automated people mover takes you from the south terminal to the north terminal. Because the north terminal is over capacity. They only have like 96 gates. They expected to have 28 million passengers. They're at 41 million passengers. And it's funny that they're there in Mickey country, because Mickey has taught them a lot of lessons of how to handle passengers. So you have TSA, you have the pre-approved so that you can go through the line, kind of like Fast Pass. So they've had to adapt this technology to handle passengers better. So the South APM complex has a 2,000 car parking garage, because parking was also overloaded. And then they're building another 2,000 as part of the new South Terminal complex, which I'll show you that in a minute. So the Brightline trains, they're delayed by about 2 years, but that was about 6 months ago. So they're still about 18 months away for you to be able to do a run from Miami to Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, all the way into Orlando International Airport. That's a big deal. And then there'll be a stretch that goes to Tampa, and there'll be one that goes to Jacksonville. So more good news. As of 2017, the Orlando South Terminal. Now I'm particularly in love with this project because it's in a green field. All this is brand new acreage. They have 13,000 acres at Orlando International. They're expanding to the south. So you're seeing the APM complex here, but then this is the concourse and the terminal. It's 16 gates. 16 of those gates are convertible, so that when you have the big planes that I showed you, it's a 16-gate configuration. But if you bring smaller planes, 5 of the gates are convertible to 21. Their goal is by 2035 to have 120 gates. This is why I'm so bullish on Central Florida, and especially this airport. There's a ton of work to go here. There's ponds everywhere, a lot of geotechnical stuff. Pay attention. 1.3 billion. Turner Hewitt has 700 million, which is the air side, and then Hensel Phelps has the other side, which is 600 million. Usually geotechs are hired by the owner, so that would be the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. Now, just to get your mind boggled a little bit, this is Dubai. You think, the United States, they say, we do everything bigger in Texas. Well, in Dubai, they do it even bigger. This is a $82 billion program in total. They've already gone to 32. But look at these numbers. 200 million passengers. That's like 4 Orlando Internationals. And then look at the tonnage. 16 million. Remember I showed you 85? Do the numbers quick. And just to dream on a little bit more, this is the Beijing airport in China. They already did their $13 billion program. But this one promises to be bigger than Dubai. Saeed? Now here's the top 5 headlines for the market. I predict that there'll be new and expanded and renovated terminals. And you'll see that all over the country it's happening. In Nashville, in LAX, in San Diego, big programs are going on all over the country. The primary objective is to get more people in there. Get them in, get them out. The next one is, yes, you have airfield pavement or repaving operations, but they don't represent a big part. So that's kind of an ongoing thing that happens with airports. They have to clean their runways once in a while because all that rubber sticks to the asphalt. And they're mostly rehabilitated in nature. There's not new runways. New runways are very scarce. The next one is that this National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, they've identified $32.5 billion in infrastructure that needs to go in order to meet the federal funding. And then there's going to be a new report coming out, which is going to have new requirements which will add to that funding. So even more opportunity. Design, build, and construction management at risk models are becoming more prevalent wherever airport sponsors make them available to you. It's no longer general contractor. They like this model better. And then P3s are public-private partnerships. They're increasing in frequency, but they're not as popular yet because capital just costs so much more. That $6.5 billion program I told you about at MIA, it took me like 4 or 4.5 points. When a developer comes in, he's going to want to make his profit, the contractor makes his profit, so it's about 15%. So it's a big difference there, that's why they don't like them. But there are certain projects that they do like. For instance, hotels. That's a viable project. So here at MIA, here's the future at MIA. Not gotten off the ground yet, but they call it Terminal Optimization Program. So you know we did the South Terminal, we did the North Terminal, and that left the center, which I call El Barrio, the ghetto. It is old. It's about 60 years old. It really needs a major facelift. And just to get away, take Concourse C, just flatten it out and get rid of it. One of the ideas they have is to make a mall within the airport, because airports are becoming destinations as well. So part of the things they're doing, this with concern to Geotechs here, there's some existing asphalt and pavement there. That's where they park their airplanes. So the fancy word that they use is hard stand. And this is a revenue generator for the airports. Each plane that parks there represents about $1 million a year for parking there. You think parking is expensive in Miami Beach?
No.
Try parking here. So it's under design. There's a little bit of a protest going on between who the program manager will be, and it's between AECOM, Erie, and Burns McDonald. So it's all in a protest right now, a big protest, but it'll get going. There's a new ground service equipment storage facility. And then this is the second part of the $2 billion program that I've identified, which is cargo optimization, revitalization, and expansion program. So many of these buildings over here are 50, 60 years old. They need reconfiguring. There's space here. This taxiway that you see here, because of the big airplanes, they can't make this turning radius. So they have to expand this and cheat into the grassy area. So they'll expand the taxiway, that involves Geotechs, so that they can park the bigger planes. There's cargo facilities that can go here and over here. So this $800 million, some buildings need to be demolished. So they're trying to maximize the use of their existing land. Let me go back for a second, because long term, anybody that wants to hedge something long term, west of Milam Dairy Road, all that stuff is going to go away. It's underneath the landing field, and that's a good place to invest if you really want to think for the future, probably for your grandkids. Now here's a little case study I have for you. This was at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. It was a $125 million project. These are 6 brand new gates that were built kind of in the greenfield, but not really, because what was under here? Yes, there was some pavement, asphalt pavement and concrete pavement. The asphalt was about 6 inches thick, the concrete is about 12. But if you think back to history, how were airplanes fueled? Big truck comes over there with a big handle and pours it in. That's subject to spillage. So all those fuel, the oil, the hydraulics, for many, many years of seeping into the ground caused this situation. So this is a floor plan of how we broke the project up for the first 6 gates. We had a zone A, B, and C. And then the yellow represents the areas that we had to take out the existing sanitary sewer and storm sewer system. Well, guess what? That stuff had been sitting under that apron for so many years. Even the concrete structures themselves and the rigid concrete pipe, or reinforced concrete pipe rather, was contaminated. So it had to be all broken up and hauled out. You can see the contamination right there with the telltale sign of the hydrocarbons sitting on the water. And then there is contaminated concrete structures. You can see the buildup around these things, and then all these had to be broken up before you could haul them away. I forget the exact numbers, but we hauled out over 1 million pounds of soil and equally of concrete. So in summary, there was 2,300 tons of contaminated soil. There was 10,900 gallons of contaminated water, 70 lineal feet of 36-inch RCP. There was 210 lineal feet of 30-inch RCP and 290 lineal feet of 24-inch RCP. That's a lot of material. This represented a pretty big impact to the schedule as well. It's 51-day delay. And then the catch basins themselves were also contaminated. So what are some of the opportunities for geotechs? This is what we're going to look at right now. The first one is obviously engineering, inspection, and construction observation. Anything to do with soils, you could be the CEI. Soils and rock laboratory testing for densities and for contaminants, very important. The aggregate evaluation, that needs to be done beforehand. Concrete and asphalt testing, that's ubiquitous at airports. There's also placement inspections, compressive strength testing with the cylinders or the cubes if it's grout, flex beam testing, and the ASR evaluation in concrete photography is also ubiquitous at airport projects. Now, other inspections are the building and foundations need to be inspected. Usually they're piles with a pile cap and columns go on top of that. Welding inspections, there's a lot of structural steel in these buildings. And there's weld qualification testing. There's masonry inspection testing, the dynamic pile testing, pile integrity, pile installation and driving, pile load testing, and ground improvement observations, verification testing. There's also excavation inspections and backfilling operations. There's fireproofing inspection. We didn't use any at Fort Lauderdale, but Miami International is a huge structural steel superstructure, so that needed to be fireproofed. The window testing, that's the water penetration. You put the negative pressure on the inside, squirt water on the outside, see if there's infiltration. Roof testing for uplift resistance. There's floor flatness and floor levelness testing, vibration measurements, and then the GPR was something that was put in our contract because there's so much stuff underneath. Nobody knows what it is. You geotechs, I think, sometimes are like magicians or genies or something. You have to work with something that you don't know what's under the earth. Aren't most of the claims that happen in your world, don't they have to do with what you found that was different than what you thought would be there? So that's why GPR came in to identify structures that are under there, or fuel lines, or water and sewer lines. You have an opportunity to have an on-site mobile laboratory, and that one allows for soil, concrete, asphalt testing in the field, especially on larger projects. So you also have the, am I going right? Yeah, drilling, especially in South Florida. We hit that water table at 2 to 4 feet, depending on what time of the season it is. And they don't like to build things in contaminated water. So the water has to be taken out, has to be treated, and then new water bubbles up, which I never understood this. This is like a joke. You go and you dig a hole for the pile cap. You see the contaminated water and the soil. So you bring the soil off to the side. You cover it. You let the people come and sniff it and check it out, and they say, oh yeah, it's contaminated. Oh, get it off the site. Here, contractor, we're going to pay you more to get it off the site. Then you get it off the site, and then what do they say? Oh, bring new fill. Where are you putting the new fill? Inside the contaminated water. I don't get that. So more things, I won't read all those for you. We have this available for you on a PDF, right, Cherry? This is available for everybody? So you can have this. And then right now, I usually like to open it up to questions, and then I'll end with something else. Okay, so any questions on anything I've spoken about? Airport projects, geotech, anybody? Don't be shy. Come on. This is what we learn. No questions? How was that good? Or bad? Raise your hand. Yes, sir. Go ahead and stand up and say your name and nice and loud.
Can you pop off the microphone? Where's that? The microphone?
All right, let me repeat that question. Do I know anything about the South Terminal and Orlando and geotech issues? Yes, PCL either bowed out or was fired, one of the two. I don't think it had to do anything with geotechnical. It had to do with contract clauses and the terms that they signed up for. Hensel Phelps was the third rated company. So you had Turner Hewitt first, PCL was second, and Hensel Phelps was third, so they stepped in to do the project. As I said earlier, how do you geotechs even know what the heck is under the earth? You don't. So there has to be a lot more testing, I think, more cores, more core samples to get a bit of a map, maybe some monitoring wells to figure out if something is flowing from one side to the other that could be causing an issue. So the geotech was hired by GOA, and then now Hensel Phelps is hiring you. Okay, good wish. Because if there's a difference, they're going to need you. This is a different site condition, and that's just another word for change order. I know it's a nasty word for owners, but thank you for your question. Anybody else?
I do have the microphone this time.
Oh, you have the microphone? Anybody? Come on, don't be shy. I got a few more minutes. I don't want to cut you short.
You only learn by asking questions, right?
Okay, so even after I'll stick around, I try to leave a card, a contact card for me. I'm known as a purple squirrel, I'm a public speaker. And then I left you a feedback form. So this is for you to give me feedback. I'm a Toastmaster, and we crave feedback. So anything I can do to improve my presentation or to help you, please let me know. That's why I have that card. So the CFO asked the CEO, what happens if we invest in developing our people and they leave? Well, the CEO said, what happens if we don't and they stay? That's worse. And here's my little video on
Right
training.
off the bat, let me start off. There's a lot of training every day. Training. But a lot of training. As a matter of fact, some of the guys take the train from their homes into the day, into the city, every day into the city, which is a lot of training itself as well. So you have to train.
I hope I made my point about training. We heard about a software today from the sponsor. Get with the program. Learn the new technologies. Apply the new technologies to your work. BIM, CAD, Revit, and even the contract management softwares. A lot of contractors might force you to use their program, which would be like a Prolog or Procore. It's catching a lot of prominence. So please be aware of those. Train your people, train yourself, so you know what they're about. So there's an unknown factor with this Trump administration, which did say in the funding package that they put out that it was $1.4 trillion investment they were doing in infrastructure. That doesn't mean airports. It means infrastructure throughout the United States. And only 200 of that 1.4 trillion was going to be covered by the feds. So the states got to pony up the rest of the money. So I encourage you to be with your legislature. I don't know what presence the GMEC has with them or the FES. I'm sure they do. I know the FTBA has an office in Tallahassee, and they're very active with their senators. So the details haven't come out exactly. They did limit what they call private equity bonds. They're not in the legislature, which would hamper the P3 projects. And in summary, I hope that I've informed you about how good of an opportunity the aviation industry represents. I hope I persuaded you that it's the right industry to be in. That I've entertained you a little bit with my dancing and my yoga, and that I've inspired you to be the best that you could be by getting all that training. That's what's going to make the difference. So I have my information here. Look me up on LinkedIn. I have the cards for you. I welcome any questions afterward. I'll be here to mingle with everyone. And I thank you for your time. I thank Larry for having me on board. I get the call after I came back from vacation. And Geno, you're our keynote speaker. Whoa, thank you, Larry. I appreciate it. Matthew.
All right, well, Geno, thank you so much.
All right. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Matthew.
All right, well, we will roll right into our afternoon session. This will begin a presentation on the South Airport Complex.